Welcome! Welcome, everybody. How's everybody doing? Happy New Comic Book Day. Best day of the week. I hope your pool box is overflowing with incredible titles. I hope you're picking up every comic that you want. And I hope you get to spend the week reading. Let me know how you're doing in chat. How's your day going? What comics are you excited about? Let me know. Hey Fats, good to see you. Frank, hello. Frank is going to be our mod today. Since Asia is no longer with us, I mean, she's on this earth. She's just not at Mad Cave anymore. She's moved on. Wishing her all the best. Wishing her all the luck. Miss her already. So welcome. I hope everybody's doing well. If this is your first time tuning in, this is actually my last episode hosting, so welcome. We're kind of like passing each other, ships in the night. But it's going to be a really good show. So Transmissions is a chance to discuss new comics coming out this week with Mad Cave Studios creators and staff. So it's like similar to what we do with Showcase, where we get these like quick little opportunities to check in with creators about what they're excited about. This, we get more time. Fat says, no more Asia or Jazzy? Yeah, I know. It's a time of transition. It's Leo season. But yeah, don't worry about it. I mean, like the team coming in to take over the reins is incredible and super talented, and I'm really excited to see what they do. So fear not, Fats. It's going to continue to be a great show. But yeah, so we're going to do a deep dive. Hey, Manny, how you doing? Into today we're going to be talking to Bountiful Garden writer Ivy Noelle Weir. So that's going to be just really good. I had a chance to finish Bountiful Garden because when we interviewed Steens, the editor of Bountiful Garden, I'd only read the first 3 issues, and so I got a chance to finish them before today's interview. And whoa, I don't want to spoil anything, but they're so good. You definitely want to get this on your pull list. It is spooky, and like I was like my shoulders were up here the whole time. I was just like, oh god, like it is an interesting take on the space horror. Hey Liana, good to see you. And just like super fun, and the art is incredible, and so yeah, everyone should pick it up on their pull list. But yeah, so we don't have anything new from Mad Cave this week, but next week issue 2 of Battle Cat's most recent run will be out. Liana, are we talking about Bountiful Garden because I love it? Yes, we are. Liana, tell the people what you thought about it. Ooh, and Manny has a good point. I like to compare it to movies like The Thing and Alien. Yeah. It has that like that visceral suspense and reaction you have when watching those movies, but you're like, turning, or in my case, like, scrolling through the pages. And I was just like, oh god, do I keep scrolling? Like, it's this, like, you have to continue. You have to keep reading, but it's so scary that you don't want to. And you're just like, so it's really fun reading. If you like Jeff Lemire's Sentient or DC Swamp Thing, you'll love Bountiful. Good comparisons, Manny. Yeah, Leanna, I want to know what you think of it. I want to know what you compare it to. So Ivy Noelle Weir will be on later. We're talking horror. I was summoned. Hey, Jen, yeah. You would also love this. Oh, yeah, this is right up your alley. You're going to love this comic. And then we're giving away later on a Bountiful Garden poster. So stick around to find out how to do that. But there will just be a word that you put in chat, and then you can be submitted to win this really beautiful Bountiful Garden poster. I really want a copy. Unfortunately, because I host the show, I can't submit. But if you win, please post pictures of it on social media so I can live vicariously through you, because it's gorgeous. Yeah. Thank you, Frank. Thanks for getting that link up. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Okay, and I'd like to start off talking about Bink. So Bink is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to assisting booksellers in need. So Mad Cave actually does a lot of work with Bink and really supports them. So if you want to help support booksellers, Bink Foundation grew out of a wish of bookstore employees to establish a fund to help their colleagues experiencing unexpected financial crisis. Bink is dedicated to assisting booksellers and comic store employees across the United States in their greatest time of need. So if you have some extra cash, go ahead and throw it at that link that Frank's going to drop for Bink. And they could really use it. It goes to a good cause. Thanks, Frank. So let's do it. Yeah, Bink is super great. Thanks, Jen. Yeah. Jen. And yeah, this is going to be a really good episode. I painted some piggy banks for Bink one year. Aw, that's cool. For a raffle. You didn't just like paint them for like fan art. You're like, hey, I love what you're doing. Here's a piggy bank I made you. That's really sweet. No, I didn't. I just sent them some weird stuff. Hey, Allie, good to see you. Yeah, Frank says we stand Bink. That's a good thing to stand. Okay. So, I am going to play... I'm going to read Ivy's bio before she gets here. Yeah. Let's do it. So Ivy Noelle Weir is an award-winning comic book writer, librarian, and publishing professional. Writing comics and prose for all ages, Ivy is the author of The Secret Garden on 81st Street and co-creator of the graphic novel Archival Quality, and her writing has appeared in anthologies such as Princeless Girls Rock and Deadbeats, which are both really great. Ivy has won multiple awards for her quality work, including the Publishers Weekly Star Watch honoree, Dwayne McDuffie Award for Diversity in Comics Award, and the American Library Association Emerging Leaders Award. Damn, Ivy! Damn! Look, librarians are like run the book scene. Like librarians are sweet baby angels. Yeah, Ivy is a legend. So one, thank you for being a librarian. And two, like, hell yeah, getting that Library Association Emerging Leaders Award. That's awesome. Congratulations. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to play a trailer for Bountiful Garden, and then we get to talk to Ivy about all of these incredible awards and being a librarian and Bountiful Garden and comics. So get your questions ready, because it's going to be a fun one. All right. And we're back with Ivy Noelle Weir, librarian, winner of awards, legend, writer. Ivy, how are you doing today?
Well, better now that apparently I was being complimented and flattered.
Yeah, when I popped over, so Ivy was waiting in the waiting room very sweetly while I was doing the intro. And so when I popped over, I was like, did you hear all the accolades we were showering you? And she was like, no, I don't know how to open Twitch. So chat.
Yeah, I
Let's
don't.
throw some more compliments at Ivy's way so I can read them to her live.
I'll never see them.
Okay, so one of my favorite questions is because I love an origin story. So what made you want to get into writing comics or get into comics?
So I had no choice. My mom is an artist, and when I was growing up, she was very involved in the Philly kind of DIY zines and comics scene. She used to go around and staple free art to the walls of South Philadelphia and was just like a badass. So,
Holy shit.
so she had me and my brother reading comics our entire life. She still is a huge fan of the Hernandez brothers. So we grew up reading like Love and Rockets and Swamp Thing, really like Claremont X-Men, like all kinds of manga back when like you could only get manga in like single issues and it was still treated like no matter what manga you were buying, it was porn. And so we grew up with comics. So I made comics also my whole life. She had a lot of she really encouraged us to be artistic also. And so I used to write and draw a lot of comics as a kid, and me and my brother would make stuff together. And I actually said, I told this story on a podcast the other day that when I was in high school, I sent Marvel like an unsolicited script for my X-Men idea. Like they really wanted to see like a 15-year-old's idea for the X-Men.
I want to see a 15-year-old's idea for the X-Men. I want to see your 15-year-old idea.
A lot. Everybody kissed a lot.
I mean, that's not far off from how X-Men actually is.
No, that was always what I liked the most about the X-Men growing up. I was like, I like how they're superheroes and they also kiss. So why wouldn't I?
Sorry. Steens is in chat. Steens says, "Hi, Ivy. Hello, Steens." Just wanted.
My darling.
Okay, so did they get back to you about were they like, this is incredible?
No. Yeah, they were. That's how I got into the industry. Actually, no. No. In fact, I pretty much abandoned comics entirely because I went to art school in New York, and it crushed my soul into a fine powder. And so I was in like the New York fine art scene. I worked at a gallery in Chelsea, and I was kind of on the path to being like someone who worked at like a Sotheby's or a Christie's doing art sales. That was sort of where my career was headed. And then I decided that I wanted to leave New York and leave that scene. And I got back into reading comics, which like I missed a ton. I didn't realize how much I had missed it until I had been away for a little bit. And I got a job at a comic book store. And from there, I joined a group for women who worked in comic shops. That's where I met Steens. And I basically asked her out on like a graphic novel date because I liked her art so much. I was like, I have a story I've been working on and I've never written a comic, but I think you and I should do a comic together. And the rest is history.
Oh my God.
That was archival quality.
That was how archival quality came about? What was that first meeting like?
Well, we had been talking in the like chat, and in the group. And so I like sent her, I think like the outline or like some of the story that I had written because I'd been working on it as like a novel. And then we just like talked, and that's kind of what started Steens and I talking every day, which we still do. And just like a lot of back and forth. And originally we wanted it to be a webcomic. So there was a lot more in the beginning of talking about like characters and all that. And so I think you can really see that in the final product actually, because, we had intended to have much longer with these characters, and then they were like a 250-page graphic novel in the end, but they have like personalities and backstories that I think really reflect how long Steens and I took like working on them together, which is why they're still my dear children and I love them.
That's awesome. Did you you were watching Steens' interview a couple weeks ago, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there was a part where I was asking Steens like what it was like to work with you again and how that relationship had changed. So I want to ask you the same thing from your point of view. Like, what was it like working with Steens again? And then, like, was it nice? Because, you know, Steens had talked about how, like, they had grown as an editor. So when they got to work with you again, they were like, look at all these new tools I've learned. So what was it like for you to work again with them?
Yeah, I think they really nailed it. I'm pretty sure Steen said like we both leveled up because like we worked together on we did a short piece together for the Deadbeats anthology, um, but we hadn't done like another long form piece together since Archival Quality, and so in that time we were both working a lot separately. I mean, Steen's works like harder than anyone in comics, so
President
Steen's always
Steens.
working. So by the time that they approached me about this book, I don't think that like they had even seen like a script from me in a while. So it was great because when Steens and I work together, we're really collaborative when we work on our stuff. Like we talk constantly, and I see us as a partnership. You know, I see every artist that I work with as like a partnership, but yeah. Steens and I just have like a really co-creative relationship. So pivoting that to the editorial space was actually, I think, really beneficial because it gave me a chance to kind of like bring things to them and have them like give me like a higher level feedback than like knowing they were going to have to draw whatever I brought. Yeah, so it was like way like much like a more like, you know, high level view. And I mean, they're an amazing editor. Like I've paid Steens to look at other things for me. And I know every time that it's going to be like a really thoughtful, like detailed edit. So really like, at first, I will admit I was a little nervous about having someone who I'm so close to editing my work because it's hard already not to take it personal sometimes. But if anything, I think I take it less personally from Steens than I do other editors because they're just so good at editing that I'm always like, oh, yeah, you're right. Or, yes, this is a good suggestion. Like, it's never phrased in a way that makes me feel defensive.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it's you know, it's always coming from like a place of love or like, you know, respect for the project, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was it like working with Kelly Williams then?
So Kelly and I didn't have like a ton of face-to-face interaction on this book. Again, a testament, I think, to Steens because they were project managing so well that I feel like Kelly and I didn't have to like really get together and like hash things out because I feel like by the time that we were seeing each other's stuff, things were already kind of firing on all cylinders. I love everything that Kelly did with this book. In fact, after I saw the pencil for the first issue, I was like, ooh, I have to write way less dialogue and just let this dude draw. And you'll see as it goes on, like the scenes become a lot less dialogue heavy and are more just like kind of giving Kelly reign to really like make it creepy and make it claustrophobic because I feel like his art is just like so good for setting that mood, and that's really what I wanted out of the story anyway.
Claustrophobic's the perfect word for it too. Yeah, it was like I was just like, I need to read this outside. Yeah. Yeah, I'm so and I talked about this a little bit on the showcase, but I'm so enamored with how your writing and Kelly's art and the colors one second, your colorist is Giorgio, and even Justin's letters, oh my gosh, like everybody just like it was like a puzzle where every piece was accounted for and fit perfectly, and just like, again, like you said, like firing on all cylinders. Like it was really just such a joy to read, you know, 5 issues of everybody just doing, well, you know, what I imagine is your best work. Like I can't imagine how you could have improved that book. So it was really just a joy to read, and also terrifying. I cannot stress that enough. It's a very scary book. But yeah, it's so cool. And again, congrats to Steens for, I guess, steering that boat, but also congrats to you for like recognizing, oh, okay, I'll write less to showcase. Like that's a sign of a great writer, especially in comics when it's so collaborative.
I mean, it's a visual medium. You know, the artist is the one doing the heavy lifting in a comic and is the one ultimately that's setting a lot of the tone. You know, when you're writing prose, you can, you know, go pages and pages of description and, you know, really set this yourself. But when you're working collaboratively on a team, if you want the message to be clear, like you have to know how to play to the strengths of your team, you know? And I do think this team was so strong that it was like very easy to identify, like, okay, like this is how, as you know, sort of the skeleton of this story, the script that I'm writing, this is how I want to set up them to flesh it out.
So the base of the story, so Mad Cave came to you and was like, can you just talk about that process? Like they were like, I think we have this idea for a story. What would you do to improve it? Or can you talk about like the idea that they pitched you?
Yeah, so the original idea was really broad strokes. It was basically like, you know, I don't remember the exact wording, but it was essentially there's scientists, they are young, vaguely young, and they're in space, and something bad happens. And I'm pretty sure that was like, you know, them getting stalled out over a planet, I think was in the original pitch. But other than that, it was really given to me and Kelly a lot of room to like play with that. And, you know, we got to develop all the characters. Like we got to really do the A to B plot other than just like, you know, this basic thing needs to happen. But like as far as, you know, actually how that thing happens was totally up to me and to the team. So I wrote a couple outlines, worked with Steens, got, you know, their feedback, and Chris's, and, you know, just kept kind of refining and refining the characters, and that's how we got to where we are. It was really fun. I like working on IP projects because I feel like it's really fun to play in a space where like you're given parameters and then you kind of, it's, I don't know, it's like a logic puzzle to me. I'm like, okay, so I have to do this, and like I get to think creatively about how to do it, and I find that really fun as a writer.
Yeah, it's like a jumping off point.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah. Which character, like, how do I phrase this? Okay, well, which character do you like the most? I guess, like, which was the most fun to write?
Most fun to write, and which one do I like the most might be different answers. Of course, I'm gonna forget my own characters' names. Anya? Yes. Kurt, I think, was actually the one that I liked writing the most. I like to write a flawed person. I like to write someone who's likable. And he's not.
Like freeing, I imagine.
And, you know, I think that none of them are really that likable because the entire conceit of the book is kind of, you know, based in the dissolution of the ego and, you know, all that. But I think that I had a lot of fun playing around with Kurt's role because I think he's secretly like the saddest character. And if Steens is still in chat, she'll laugh. She knows I love sad boy. Love sad boy. You see, you know, he has like this desire to do well and he just comes off really bad. And I think the rest of them have this moral complexity that's different.
Yeah.
I think I probably struggled the most actually writing Jane, the biologist, because I wanted her to be this like weaker kind of, she's the youngest and like the weakest one and the most prone to freaking out. And I was like getting annoyed with her as the writer. I was like, just be cool. You know, everyone else is doing okay. But in the end, I think that she was another one that in the end, I was glad that I spent the time writing, because it was a challenge to figure out how to have her fit in with this other crew that's also capable.
Yeah, I think those are also like two of the more honest reflections of like what would happen if teens were put into a crisis in space, right? Because like there's who we want to be, which is like rise to the occasion. But honestly, like how many of us wouldn't just like end up on the floor crying because it's like really scary, right? Like,
yeah, it's scary. I mean, her reaction is valid.
It's a very valid, very, I think, realistic reaction to like, oh no, I'm stuck in space and don't know what's happening. I'm just going to have a little sit and cry for a moment. Yeah. So you got to choose that they were like actual teenagers then?
Yeah, so it was, I knew that the conceit was that they wanted to be young.
Yeah.
I think initially it was a bit younger than even what we had them as. But to me, I think why I eventually landed on teens, and I think that the ages that I gave were like 14 to 17 when I did the character descriptions, with Kurt being the oldest and Jane being the youngest. Was I feel like that's such a like high stakes emotional time. You know, and that's a situation where in a adult story like this that has an adult cast, you might have somebody who's like more logical and who can have like a cooler head and who can, you know, sort of try to take a leadership role. But then like with teenagers, like there's no such thing as a cooler head. Like they're gonna be a hot mess express. So
yeah.
You know, I think it lends something to the book to have them be teens. Like I don't know if I can imagine it with an adult cast playing out the same.
No, it would not have been as dramatic or fun. Yeah, because they make some choices where you're like, oh, baby, no, like.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's like, yeah, they're 14. Like, yeah, exactly. What are they gonna do? Did you have fun like tapping into that melodrama of being a teenager, or was it like excruciating to go back to that?
It was fun. So I had just come off finishing 2 middle grade, like younger young adult graphic novels. And they were like contemporary, right? And like much more, like nobody gets murdered in those. And, you know, they were like happier, more slice of life, contemporary. And so it was actually really fun after having been writing in like a teenager's headspace for however long it took me to write those 2 books, a year, to then be like, okay, well, I'm still in that teenager headspace, but this time it's bad and it's scary. And I get to like explore a totally different angle on this sort of space that I've been writing in for the past year. So as an artistic exercise, I actually thought it was really fun.
Yeah, I bet you're like exercising some of those demons. You're like, and another thing. So and I talked about this a little bit before, but the vibe of the comic is like, I mean, just like foreboding and like it's dark and stormy, like claustrophobic, I think you said, which is a great description for it. What conversations did you have with Kelly and Giorgio about that, or any conversations, or I guess with Steens, about how to make it feel foreboding?
So this is where kind of the inspiration for the story came in, from the things that I read. So I really wanted it to be raining all the time. To me, that was very important, because I felt like
great choice, by the way.
There's a short story by Ray Bradbury called The Long Rain, which I know I've talked about in like every interview I've done for this book. But it's about a crew on Venus, and they're looking for, it's always raining there, and they are like an exploration crew, and they are supposed to reach these sun domes, which have like food and an artificial sun, and that kind of gives them a psychological break from the fact that it's always raining. But every time that they come to one, the native inhabitants of the planet have destroyed it. So as they're going, they're just continually unable to find any respite from this rain. And I first read that story when I was probably, I don't know, 16. And I remember thinking, this is the most messed up thing that I've ever read. And I was like, this is so scary. And I think the reason it's so scary and why I really wanted to have the hostility and claustrophobia come from the planet itself was because it's something like you have no control over it, right? If your bad guy is another person, then you can have like a slasher movie scenario where in the end, like, you kill them and get away or something. But when the bad guy is literally the weather, like, there's no escape from it. So, and not in like a Twister way. This is more like,
but in like a specific Seattle way, where everything's always wet. You're never dry.
Yeah, it just like it weighs on you psychologically to have something that relentless, and then the greenery of the planet, working against you. It just like every turn, every step you take, every look that you give over your shoulder, there could be something wrong and you wouldn't know because it's just part of your surroundings. So in the script, I think I gave more time describing the surroundings than I did almost anything else, because to me that was like the integral part of the horror. I was like, the scary part is the rocks. And thankfully Kelly just like kicks butt at drawing scary rocks.
Yeah. So... Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you said that, because I was like, why am I scared of rocks? Like, why are these rocks like giving me the willies? Like, they're just in the background, but I was just like, I don't trust them. Like, so I'm glad that was by design.
Scary rocks. Yeah, exactly. Don't trust them. And like, I think that as I got pencils in for each issue, I was like, okay, like, I know what I want to do next time. Like, I've seen what Kelly can do now. And so I want to build on that. And like, the design for the temple that they go to, it was this thing where I was being very deliberate in what I wanted things to be, but I was leaving it very open to Kelly to interpret what that actually looked like. So, I know he and Steens had some conversations about like some of the elements and designing it. I think the only time that he and I and Steens really talked about it was, I think I gave some like more specifics on the plant life, and like what I envisioned them looking like, because that was something where I was like, I'm very specific. Like thing that I'm thinking these are. But like the actual thing that maybe they're interacting with, Kelly like designed that 100% on his own, and it's like he sucked it out of my head. Like, it was perfect. So
that's awesome.
It was, again, it was just cool to see, like, as I laid down kind of basic ideas of what I was seeing, to see Kelly kind of run with it was awesome.
Yeah, what was it like when you got the first issue back and like saw it completed?
It was awesome because it's so creepy. Like, I mean, it was so different from anything I've ever done as a writer. Kelly's style is very different from any other artist I've ever worked with. Giorgio's colors were very different. And then Justin's lettering is like so alive. And gives so much texture to the workings of like the script, that when I saw it all together, I was just like, oh, this is a real horror book. Like, this is spooky, scary. Like, I'm here for it.
Frank in chat says it's incredible how Kelly was able to deliver on all the cool ideas / designs you wanted to see in the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're getting some love for the Bradbury story that you were talking about in the chat.
I love Bradbury.
And Leanna says,
I have like...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I just said, Leanna says, I love his ink wash style so much. Yeah.
That was the part that was really cool. So the fact that Kelly mostly works analog and like does like these ink wash things like by hand, when he started turning those in, I was like, what? Like get them on my laptop and be like, this ink wash. I think that like the reason I like working in comics is that every time I get art, I'm just like, you drew this. you're amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, artists are awesome and just like wizards. Like, I don't want to be I'll be the person who's like, I can't even draw a stick figure, but like it was truly amazing to go from script, like here's a couple of words on a page, and then they're like, here's this piece of art and I've brought it to life, and it's, an image, but it looks like it's moving and it makes you feel things, and you're just like, oh my God, you're a wizard. And Kelly is master of that. Leanna says, it fits the book so well, especially for teen, YA, etc. I feel like that's exactly what we need. And Ivy's response is what every artist wants to hear. Yeah, this is, again, sign of a good writer. Because comics is a team sport. You want to make sure that you're playing off of each other's strengths. Yeah. You had done a interview recently with Kelly for The Effective Nerd, and you both were talking about so you had recommended that writers check their ego at the door. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So the thing that I've seen the most since I've been in comics, and it's funny because I think in that same interview I said it was like, how long have you been in comics? And I was like, I'm baby. But then I realized that I've been in the industry now for like 6 years. I'm new here. I don't even go here. So the thing that I think I've seen the most with writers who want to break in is that they're like, I have an amazing idea, and I, the writer, am willing to let you draw it. And no, I will not pay you for these sample pages. So, like, I think there's also this thing now that comics are such a profitable IP for like Marvel and like Disney, where sometimes folks also think that it's like, this is a way for me to get a TV show made, or this is a way for me to like break into some other big money industry. And I think that like when you come from prose and you decide, okay, well, I'm going from prose writing, I've written novels or whatever, short stories, and now I want to write comics, it's a different way of thinking. And I think that it's not always something that people immediately get. So when you're writing as a prose writer, you are by yourself until you enter into a collaborative relationship with an editor. And I mean, even then, depending on your editor and where you're working with and what your plan is for your book, they may not even be that involved. When you are writing a script that you're not drawing, you give up a lot of that agency and that ownership, because if you're asking somebody to do hours and hours and hours of work, you have to listen to their opinion. And I think that it's very humbling.
Sorry, one second.
New writers.
Somebody clip that section. That's very important. That's really good advice.
I think it's very humbling for new writers to comics, because they're like, what do you mean this doesn't work? Like, this works. And they're like, well, you have a panel where you say she crosses the room and picks up the mug and takes a drink, and that's 3 panels worth of action. I think that people they're not used to thinking in that kind of sequential way. Or even if you come from like film and screenwriting, you're used to having more motion, like you have to learn how to listen to the person who actually knows how to execute the idea, which is the artist. And from there also, editorial is this project manager role in comics in a different way than they are in prose, where, an editor is mitigating and assisting in this relationship between you and the artist. So you just have a lot more people that you're interacting with, and you have a lot more people whose opinion you need to take into account. But the good news is, even if it hurts your ego, and believe I am not above getting edits back and being like, but my idea was good. I think everybody gets that, right? Everybody feels that when they get edits back to some degree. The good part of it is that it's a richer final product. It's a stronger final product if you're willing to be collaborative, if you're willing to like really have conversations and listen to this feedback from the rest of your team, because then you're making something where like yeah, everyone is firing on all cylinders and everyone's excited about the project things. They feel some kind of ownership over it. If it's just like, you're sending your script off to your writer or to your artist and then being like, okay, bye, then, how are they supposed to feel like you're invested in their success either? I try really hard, even like when I see art and get art back, to always try to say something like, this looks great. Thank you. Just even the acknowledgement of the labor can mean a lot. So when I say check your ego at the door, I mean, like, just don't be a jerk.
That's advice that we can all take, though. Not just writers of comics. That's awesome. Do you have any like tools or systems that you use just to help be a better collaborator, just on like the, I guess, like production side, or any like suggestions?
So the biggest thing, and it's so like, feels really goofy to say this, but when I first started, I was writing all of my Microsoft Word, and all of the formatting stuff was constantly screwing up. And I had a really bad habit of, and I still do, and if Steens is still in chat, she will laugh.
Sorry,
I have a
Steens
really
in
bad
chat
habit of
just said,
misnumbering.
in chat, Steen said, don't be a jerk is great advice. So.
I have a really bad habit of misnumbering pages. I don't think I've ever turned in a script that didn't have like 2 page 10s. And it's because when I make edits, I just get confused and like I lose my thread. So the thing that helped me the most was using Scrivener and using the macro that automatically your pages. I know that seems really like, what? That's nothing. That's barely advice, but
no, that's great advice.
It's, there's a pragmatic side to this. There's no standard script for comics. Like, there's no standardization. Everybody writes their scripts differently. So the other thing, when you're talking about collaboration, is I haven't had it be a problem for me yet. But if somebody is like, I do not understand how your scripts are written, you may have to pivot a little bit. But, just getting to a place where you're comfortable with the logistics of how to write a script that is clear and doesn't have 2 page 10s and like it's easy to tell who's talking and like how the pages are laid out. Like, I think just there's a pragmatic side, a structural side to comic scripting that you don't really think about because it's all about the ideas, the words, but then, also you have to have something that somebody else can understand.
Yeah. That's great advice. Thank you. Steen says, I already know what you're going to say. The page numbers. And then Henry Barajas says, don't be a jerk. I co-sign this. And Jen says, I appreciate this. So yeah, your advice is great and everyone appreciates it. I use Scrivener too. And it's a really great, like, also co-signing that one. It's a great program.
It like was the best $40 that I invested into my career. I kept putting it off because I was like, I'm not paying money for that, but then it's been totally worth it.
Sweet. Okay, so we're gonna do the giveaway. So Ivy, can you give me a word that people will type in chat for a chance to win this beautiful Bountiful Garden poster? One word.
Ooh.
Preferably easy to spell.
Fiddlehead.
Fiddlehead?
Yeah, like a fern.
I see what you're doing. Let me fiddlehead. Okay. Chat. Type fiddlehead in chat. Yeah, Steens, I hope you win. Type fiddlehead in chat for a chance to win this beautiful, beautiful Bountiful Garden poster. Yeah, everybody get it. And it's caps insensitive, so, camel case, no caps, all caps, whatever you want. Go with your gut. Allie, you can't submit. You work at Mad Cave. You can't win. Created by Alice says, I'm not going to enter only because I have already won 2.
Benevolent.
Very sweet of you. And then while we're waiting, I'm going to give everyone a little bit more time to submit. But I also want to show some of the covers for Bountiful Garden, which are beautiful. Do you have a favorite one, Ivy? Favorite cover?
It's like, it's been so long now that I've turned in these scripts. I don't know exactly what issue it is. I think it might be 4. Anya in the hallway with the machete.
That's my favorite too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
whole issue might be my favorite.
Oh my God, yeah. That's a great issue. I don't want to spoil anything, but I really can't wait for people to start getting this in their pull box, because it's I just want to talk about it. I want to like read people's reactions to some of the scenes that so maybe after this is done, I can like email you and be like, okay, but what about this scene?
Yeah.
I can just, I guess, react with you. All right, chat, keep typing in that fiddlehead. Thank you, Frank. And Frank says, I can't blame Allie for trying. It's a sick poster. It is a beautiful poster. I would love a copy too. All right. Ivy, can I get a drum roll, please? I'm going to roll it again. Allie, you can just stroll on over to your... So Allie, who works at Mad Cave, won it. So I'm going to roll it again. But congratulations, Allie. I'm so happy for you. Okay, rolling it again. Robin! Congrats, Allie. Congrats, Robin. I'm excited for you both. It's truly a beautiful poster. Yeah. Okay. So my last question for you, Ivy, is do you have any advice for somebody who wants to start writing comics?
Start writing comics. I mean, I know that seems really like, I think that for me, what kept me away from it initially, like when I started working on this idea and, you know, before I met Steens, or even after I like talked to Steens about archival quality, I was like, how am I going to do this? I can't draw. You can still write comics. I think my secondary piece of advice would be to read comics, because you learn how to think visually from reading comics, and you learn about what works and what you like and what you don't like, and you know what speaks to you. I read a lot of manga, and I think that it comes through probably more in my middle grade work, but I think that you finding influence in other people's work that inspires you is a really important part of any kind of art making. And the third is to keep a network of peers, make friends, go to shows when it's safe to do so and you won't get COVID, you know, be online and safe and receptive to you. And, you know, be genuinely invested in those friendships. When I say networking, I don't mean like get in there and make enough friends to get somebody to draw your comic. I mean, be invested in other people's successes, and, you know, a rising tide lifts all boats. So when you're all enthusiastic together, you can create something that really changes the medium and end up making some really cool work.
Oh, that's such good advice. Yeah, community building is key. And it's, Steen says, community building. Jen says, here. So, yeah, it's networking, like, with your peers and not necessarily trying to, like, shoot yourself up the ladder. I think that's incredible advice. Yeah, we're getting a lot of love for that advice. So read comics, write comics, and network with your peers. Community build.
Read your peers' comics, because they're making really good comics. I guarantee it.
They're making some damn good comics. Ivy, this went by way too fast. Thank you so much. Where can people find you? How can people support you?
So, well, obviously, I hope people go to their shop on Free Comic Book Day and pick up Bountiful Garden 1 on Free Comic Book Day, because I'm still, like, completely geeked that I have a Free Comic Book Day book. Like, I went from being the person drinking 4 Trenta iced coffees on Free Comic Book Day to survive it, and now I have a book there. Wild.
The glow up.
I used to feel like I got worked over with a bat after Free Comic Book Day. So love to LCS workers.
Yeah.
And otherwise, I'm on pretty much every social platform at Ivy Noelle, IvyLLE, or my website, ivynoelleweir.com.
Sick. All right. Thank you so much. This has been just a complete joy. I'm going to play the trailer once more for those who missed it the first time around because it's really good and spooky. So you get to enjoy it once more. And then I'll be back to say goodbye. So thanks, Ivy.
Yeah, bye.
Hey, welcome back. How's everybody doing? Did you enjoy? Let me catch up on chat. Steen says, thank you, Ivy and Jocelyn. Thank you, Steen. Thanks for hanging out. Always a pleasure to have you. Allie says, can't wait to see everyone. See schedule for August. It's going to be great. Marvel said, great episode. Thank you. The verbiage for that ad could just describe me walking into a video games job every day. I'm so sorry, Jen. Solidarity and love to you. Can't wait to get Bountiful Garden. Yeah, you're going to love it, dude. Manny said, loved it. Welcome back for the last time, Jazz. Boo. Aw, thank you so much, Fats. Let me go to my notes so that I don't just start crying. All right, so thank you to Ivy for coming on. That was so, I don't know. Ivy is just super talented, obviously, an incredible writer, but also just very kind and very giving of their knowledge and what they've learned. And I really, really appreciate that. They're an incredible community builder. They do a lot. Steens too, if Steens is still in chat. They both do so much to make comics more inclusive and more inviting and safer and kinder. And I really just appreciate them for doing that, both of them. Yeah, President Steens. And yeah, Ivy is just a wealth of knowledge and so kind. So thank you, Ivy, for coming on. That was great. All right. In previews this week, we have Bountiful Garden number 2. So trust me, just go to your local comic shop and be like, put it on my pull. I want every issue that comes out, because as we have found out, Mad Cave stuff tends to sell out. And so you want to make sure that you have access to it. Pre-orders help all of us. But also, like, it's really good. So make sure you put all of these on your pull list. Bountiful Garden number 2, Battle Cats Volume 3 number 4, Woven Heart number 8, and the Grim Tales Anthology, which everybody is super excited about for good reason. It's, speaking of spooky, it's going to be very spooky and very good, and it's just the most, like, stacked menu of comics creators. So I'm super excited for the anthology. I got a sneak peek at it, and it is, it's good. Ooh, Mad Cave Studios says Grim. Yeah, it's dope. Okay, so this is my last stream. We're here. We're at the end. Aww. I don't want this to end. Nice to see everyone on here. Yeah, this has been so fun. Do not accept. Yeah, so, I mean, you guys can follow me on Twitter, and, you know, I'm not leaving the earth. Like, I'm still around. But this is my last transmission stream. This has been so fun and so rewarding. Oh, let me fix my hair. Sorry. I can't go out like this. Can't go out like a mess. I also can't cry. This is so like, this all came about, like, I had, like, pitched this to Chris a long time ago, this show a long time ago, and we were working on what I think, like, Showcase 2. I was like, you guys should start a Twitch and do a weekly stream and then kind of lead it up to the showcase. And like a good editor, Chris saw this little nugget, and then later followed up with me and was like, hey, actually, can you just write up a pitch for that show that you were talking about and pitch it, and then I'll present it to the team. And so I did, and I had hopes and dreams of what this show would be, but it has exceeded all of those, and it has grown so quickly, and it's doing so well, and I've had such an incredible time meeting with you weekly, and, you know, spending new comic book day with y'all, and, like, celebrating comics. Like, I truly deeply love comics, and I'm so excited for what Mad Cave's doing. So this has exceeded my wildest dreams, so thank you for helping us create this. And also, I mean, I have a lot of people to thank, but the three people I want to give a special shout out to is Chris Sanchez, editor-in-chief, for really, you know, pushing me to pitch this show, and then, like, supporting me to, like, make it the best that it could be. Or, you know, his support was everything. And Asia, who's unfortunately no longer with us, I didn't realize that her last day had already happened, but I wanted to give her a special shout out for being just an incredible mod and always being, like, fun, and she's just incredible at her job, but she's also just super fun to work with, and she, like, brightens every room. And so I wanted to give her a special shout out. She really supported me on the back end, which, you know, live streams are there's a lot of things going on, but she was always, like, you know, incredibly supportive and helpful. And so I wanted to give her a special shout out. I hope she gets to hear this. And I hope I get to work with you again. You were incredible. And then my third shout out is to everybody in chat. Everybody who shows up week after week. Avery, Fats, Demon, you know, Robin, everybody, all of our regulars, all of the new people. Like, I really, you know, when you do a new show, it's scary because, like, it's like a party. Is anyone going to show up? And so to be able to log on every week and have you guys be there and, you know, help me make fun of Nightbot or pump up a creator, or, you know, rise up and tweet at Mad Cave when we all really wanted a second storyline from Nottingham. Like, this has just been super fun and just a complete privilege. So thank you to everybody who watches and streams. And then my fourth huge shout out is to everybody at Mad Cave who helped put on this show. So many people worked on this. Like, it was an entire company effort, and y'all just made it a blast. And I'm sad to go, but I'm so excited to see what comes up. because it's just gonna, like, I have complete faith in you as a company. Obviously, like, the show is being left in good hands, so I've the show's gonna be awesome, and I'm gonna be in chat next week, like, cheering with the rest of y'all and making fun of Nightbot with the rest of y'all. But I'm so excited for what Man Cave has coming down the pipeline, and it's been a complete pleasure and privilege to kind of, like, get a peek behind the curtain. And so, like, for what I'll say is that y'all aren't ready, and keep following Mad Cave on all the socials, because they are going to be doing some very cool things. So shout out to Allison, Chris, Manny, Frank, Mark, and Gio, the entire Mad Cave crew. My last big shout out to the designers who always make these incredible overlays and just make me look so sleek and fancy. Yeah, and shout out to Nightbot. Okay, you can follow me on Twitter. You can follow Ivy on Twitter. Frank, thank you so much for modding this episode. You've been killing it in the chat. Thank you so much. Aw, thanks, Manny. I'll miss you too. And I have some exciting news. Boom. Let's do this. So next week, I will not be here, but we have an incredible new host, Saige Ryan. And she's a Twitch streamer. She's awesome. I'm so excited to be able to pass this on to somebody who I know is just going to, like, take it and run and make it incredible. So I'm super excited for her and for y'all next week. And we have our schedule coming up. So August is going to be so good. We have a live drawing with Kelly Williams. We have Michael Machio is going to be on to talk about the last session. Grim Tales, which everyone's talking about. Some of those creators are going to start coming on to talk about their shorts and that. It's going to be, like, stick around, stay tuned. The show's going to continue to kick ass, and I'm really excited. Yeah, August is stacked. Yeah, so go follow Saige and get some behind the scenes as she, like, starts getting onboarded. It's going to be fun. All right. It's been my absolute pleasure to be your host. This has been super fun. Thank you so much. That's all I got to say. Be kind to Nightbot. Read comics. Stay hydrated. Love y'all. Thank you so much. Have a good new comic book day.